سلام آقای دکتر خوبین؟ اعوذ بالله من الشیطان الرجیم. اعوذ بالله من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير. وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ولم يأتكم نذير. قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أن نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم واجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقته وإليه النشور أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجب في عتب ونفور صدق الله العلي العظيم صدق الله.
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Yeah, that's fine. Right? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترت وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلت وكم من عثار وقيت وكم من مكروه دفعت وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرت اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وقسرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد آمالي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بخيانتها ومطالي يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف دري والنظر في أمري إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعد حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحجة علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك والزمني حكمك وبلاؤك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي. يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، أبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك، هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادحا وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنا. ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب. يا كريم يا رب. يا كريم يا رب. وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثور يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف بي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب وشدتي أم لطول البلاء ومدتي؟ فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك، وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك. فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي، صبرت على عذابك، فكيف أصبر على فراقك؟ وهبني صبرت على حر نارك، فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك؟ أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك؟ فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآملين، ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين، يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته، وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته، وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته، وهو يضج إليك ضجيج مؤمل لرحمتك، ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك، ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفا؟ أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقا؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربا؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات، ما ذلك الظن بك، ولا المعروف من فضلك، ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك. فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاحديك، وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك، لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما، وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما، لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين، وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين، وأن تجل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا، وتطولت بالأنعام متكرما. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها، أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملت، كتمته أو أعلنت، أخفيته أو أظهرت، وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني، وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي، وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم، وبرحمتك أخفيت وبفضلك سترت، وأن توفر حظي من كل خير تنزل أو إحسان تفضل أو بر تنشر أو رزق تبسط أو ذنب تغفر أو خطأ تستر، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي، يا من بيده ناصيتي، يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي، يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي في الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا، وأعمالي عندك مقبولا، حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا، وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا، يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي، يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، يا ربي يا ربي يا رب، قوي على خدمتك جوارحي، واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي، وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك، حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين، واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين، وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين، وأخافك مخافة الموقنين، واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد، ومن كادني فكد، واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك، وأقربهم منزلة منك، وأخصهم زلفة لديك، فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك، وجد لي بجودك، واعطف علي بمجدك، واحفظني برحمتك، واجعلني بذكرك لهجا، وقلبي بحبك متيما، ومن علي بحسن إجابتك، وأقلني عثرتي، واغفر زلتي، فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك، وأمرتهم بدعائك، وضمنت لهم الإجابة، فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي، وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي، وبلغني مناي، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي، يا سريع الرضا، يا سريع الرضا، يا سريع الرضا، اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء، يا من اسمه دواء، وذكره شفاء، وطاعته غنى. ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء، وسلاحه البكاء، يا سابغ النعم، يا دافع النقام، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام، يا عالما لا يعلم، صل على محمد وآل محمد، وافعل بما أنت أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله، وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
This time no registration is required. We'll start with Dua Nutba at 8:30 a.m. followed by Salatul Eid at 9 a.m. inshallah. Then on that Thursday we'll have Jashan for Wiladat of Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajil. Followed by the regular Thursday program. Now, I would like to request to recite Surah Fatiha for all the Marhumeen and Marhumat, especially for the sponsors, for all the Marhumeen and Marhumat of our community, for those whose names are written on the monument of Zahra, and especially for the sponsors of tonight's program. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرج. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله احد الله الصمد ولم يكن له كفوا احد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا احد. بمحمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرج. Now I would like to request Hujjatul Islam Maulana Sayyid Hadi Yasin to please come and give speech. بمحمد وآل محمد صلوات.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alhamdulillah, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another great opportunity. Once again, we're together. Another night of Eve of Jum'ah. May Allah inshallah send His inshallah rahmah and peace and blessings upon all Mu'mineen. And inshallah, let us be among those who will be inshallah included in His mercy in this night. ببركة الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity that we have in this night, inshallah, to be familiar with the ayat of Quran, with the, inshallah, recommendations from Ma'sumin, and also our course that, alhamdulillah, we started together. The history of Islam, it's been a couple of weeks. This is our 9th week that we're following the history of Islam, and decided to review, to understand once forever, inshallah, an authentic version of history of Islam. What happened in Islam from the beginning, which we started pre-Islam, once Rasulullah was, a kid, and then moving forward all the way to the Bi'tha. We talk about it, the difficulties that Muslims, on top of all Rasulullah himself, faced in order to establish Islam, this religion that we have, me and you, this Salah, this Quran, this A'mal that we have in our hands today, this amazing tree that you see, Shajariyya Tayyibah, with a lot of great result. Sure. With a lot of result and alhamdulillah, fruits of Islam. This came with a lot of with a lot of difficulties, a lot of pure blood were spilled on the ground, on the earth. A lot of great pious people were tortured for the sake of this deen and religion to be given to us, and we have it now, which we have the responsibility to keep it intact, to give it to the next generation, inshallah. So we talk about different topics, as you can imagine. We talk about the topic of Shayba Abi Talib. We talk about the topic of Ascension and Mi'raj, what happened to Rasulullah himself in Mi'raj, which again, the topic of Mi'raj or the topic of heaven and maybe even hell is a topic that I promise we should have a separate topic, separate lectures, series of lectures about this. What are the characteristics of heaven and hell? What are the characteristics of Ahl al-Jannah, Ahl al-Nar, the residents of Jannah, residents of hell, and comparing it to other religions, to other school of thoughts, what they think, what we think, which has its own huge topic, which is not the topic that we have, the history of Islam, but inshallah, promise we will go to that topic as well. From today, what we're going to start in the history of Islam, it's a new chapter in the history of Islam. Whatever happened until then, until this time we're going to talk about, it was more of the first preparation of Islam, of Muslims, initial Muslims. Now from this, this page of the history, we see that Islam is going to the next level. We see that what happened, that now Islam started becoming, the fastest growing religion from that time as well up until today. What happens? And what we see that, as you know, that the history of the Islamic calendar, Hijri calendar, why we said Hijri calendar? Because it started from the time of the Hijrat of Rasulullah, immigration of Rasulullah to what? To Yathrib. We call it Yathrib or Medina, we'll talk about it, right? Medina to Rasul. So why is so important? That became the Mabda, became the calendar, the date for Islamic calendar. So important, right? Dhul Hijjah is the last month of Islamic calendar. Muharram is the next month, inshallah, is the first month of Islamic calendar, Hijri calendar, right? So what happened? What happened with Yathrib? Why group of families of Rasulullah, all uncles and cousins and family members, they're in Mecca, they're not supporting him. They don't give him the place and location to spread Islam. Or we see miles and miles away, we have Yathrib, that later on calls Medina to Rasul. Over there, they support him, right? His own hometown, his own family members, right? What happens here? This is something we have to understand. And remember, we're analyzing history. We're not just narrating history. We're analyzing tariq tahriri. We're going to see our life, ourselves, our progress in life, and different aspects. How can we get lessons from this as well, inshallah? Few things about this. Islam in Yathrib. The few thing is that they call the name Yathrib. Before it called Medina, the name was what? Yathrib. So this is actually one of the names of the children of Hazrat Nuh, Prophet Nuh. His name is Yathrib ibn so and so and so, right? In Arabic, it calls Yathrib means what? Means a blame, a corruption, a defect. It has a negative meaning in it. That's why Rasulullah, after the immigration, he changed the name to different things. We have it to Tayyibah, to Medina, to Rasul, or they shorten it later on to Medina, which means what? Yeah. So this is what happened after the immigration, of course. But it's important to know Medina or Yathrib, let's call it for now. Yathrib, what was that? The structure, geographical aspects of it. What happened in Yathrib? There are different Arab tribes in Yathrib that among the most famous one, you heard about this, Aus and Khazraj, among the most important tribes at that time. These two tribes, listen of all these pieces, we need them later on when we go, right? These two, tribes, they always were clashing, have huge fight with each other, long and brutal fights and wars with each other, right? Years and years. Multiple, in the history, we have multiple wars that took, few years because of nothing. They're ignorant people, era of Jahiliyyah, right? One of the wars, the camel of this group went to the land of the other tribe. Now, because that happens, the argument happens between the owners and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, everybody else come to support. 5-6 years of fight and killing each other, right? Such a, very unreasonable, rational, reasons for fight and killing a lot of people. Such as the last war that they had called the war Bu'ath. The war Bu'ath happened 5 years before the immigration of Rasulullah, right? Think about it. I put this specifically because we need them. It's not just a piece of history. So 5 years before the first of the Hijrah, Rasulullah immigrated to Medina or to Yathrib, this wars happened 5 years because of some reasons. Because Aus and Khazraj, there were other tribes as well, but these two are the most important ones. They were mushrik. They were worshipping idols, Butparast. And of course, who is the head of Butparast? Who's the head of the idol worshippers? Who is it? Quraysh. Where? The center. Markaz is where? Mecca. In Mecca, they're in charge, right? Well, let's say when they are there, they support them, right? We call Mecca Ghura now, right? Right? For example, Qom, imagine, right? Where the all Maraja are together, right? Everything is influenced by that. So Mecca, at that time, mushriks were what? All influenced. That's why Quraysh were very strong. Everybody wanted to, and they were scared of Quraysh. Because not only they had the wealth, position, spiritual respect as well. Later on, Bani Umayyah, in parentheses, later on Bani Umayyah, they got the what? They got the power. They had the wealth, Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah, right? They got what? They got the power. They had it from the beginning. They said, that's not enough. We need the power. We need to take the power away from Muhammad. And later on from the Muslims. And they took it. Muawiyah is what? He's the what? He's the Hakim, the ruler of Damascus, Sham, right? He says, no, this one thing is missing here. What is it in the Ummah of Islam? Spiritual possession. I need to take that. That's why they were heading to become the Caliph and all those things, right? Nowadays, when these groups of Taliban or I don't know that the Daesh, they're coming for what? They have apparently, you know, the support and the money and everything. They want something else, the spiritual leadership. Why? Because they're always a group of ignorance that they follow people based on, even if you're Yazid ibn Muawiyah, even if you're apparently doing haram in front of everyone, group of people from Medina goes to, you know, Damascus, see that, oh my God, what is he doing? Came back. The Wakil from the people of Medina says, what happened? Who was he? This is still in parentheses. It was like the whole time we were in Damesh, we were afraid instead of the rain, the stone comes from the sky because of this guy. They know this, but Khalifa Rasulullah, let's go kill grandson of Rasul. Always brainwash group of people, right? Anyhow, so Quraysh had that position as well. That's why we have to be very careful. Whoever come and claim they are the spiritual leaders, whoever claims this, I'm the manager, I'm so and so, we have to be careful. We have to understand. Whoever comes and says, I'm a doctor, do you go to just like, Bismillah, this is my stomach and cut it? No, right? We have to be very, very careful to understand where we're following. Anyhow, so a little bit about this. There were also Jewish tribes in Medina as well. Among the three important ones, Bani Qurayza, Bani Nadir, Bani Ghaynaqa, around Medina. We need to talk about them, the Jewish people of that time. What happened? We hear a lot that Jewish people keep talking to idol worshippers. There is going to be a prophet coming. Remember from weeks before we talked about it, right? People of Peninsula, they heard about a prophet is coming. From who? From Jewish people. It looks like Jewish had some good influence on them, right? They were listening to them. When they had a dispute, they were going to the Jewish. Can you please solve it for us? What happened that they didn't become Jews? The Mushrikeen of Peninsula. Few things. One is that the Jewish people, they believe that, and at that time as well, have been chosen by God. And this is their identity, have been given to them by their ancestors. They believe that Judaism comes through the mother. It's the blood, comes through the blood. That's why they don't do the propagation, tabligh of that. No, you should be part of it, right? They believe in that. So they were not doing it. They were not asking people at that time to come. Even today, here and there, it's the same thing. So on the other side, Mushrikeen such as Aus and Khazraj, they believed, look at this, I have a point here. The Jewish people, they believe that what? Is the deen of our Aba and Ajdad. Is the deen of our ancestors, right? It's just come through us through the blood. Mushrikeen on the other side, they believe the same thing. Worshipping idols is the deen of Aba and Ajdad, is the deen of our ancestors. Meaning what? Ta'assub, asabiyya. Ta'assub, that prejudice, that this is the deen, our parents, our ancestors, they were following, we have to follow as well. Let's come to our societies. Do we have a little bit of that feelings when it comes to cultural preferences? Brother, this is not in Islam. We don't have it in Islam. More we have it in our culture. Sister, this is something that we don't have to, it's actually against, we don't have to. Many people come to me and say, oh no, you see certain things why, we have to talk about it. It's like, yes, inshallah, step by step, gradually. There's certain things in the culture, we have in all cultures, all nationalities, right? It's not one or two. Some of them are so thick, if you touch it, everything will shake. You have to be careful, right? It becomes so big. Others are gradually we can do it. And sometimes because we keep practicing those things, we believe in them. Then they become part of the spirituality. One example I want to give, very example that it's all in our all cultures, all religions. After Salah, before Corona, now is it? What do we do usually? Shake hands, right? Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. 3 lines over there, salam alaikum. If someone doesn't shake hands, astaghfirullah, you know why it isn't? And stretch out all of, lay over to shake someone's hands here and there. Well, what do we have in Islam? We don't have. We don't have it in Islam. What we have in Islam after Salah, don't talk to anyone. Just do taqibat, tasbihat and taqibat. That's it. Every mashallah we have in Iran, in Iraq, in Pakistan, probably in everywhere, right? It's become so international. So what is it, right? Now, next generations, they don't know where that comes from. And mashallah, Maulana Zaytoun, for example, talk about it as well. It's just an example. And then it becomes what? Part of the salah. It's not surprising if tomorrow, for example, someone write a book, if you don't shake hands with your Muslim brothers in salah, then the tawab of your salah will be... Takbiratul ihram in salah. We don't have such a thing. What is it? We have the hadith, do not act like the ears of Himar, right? Takbir that is mustahab is what? Allahu Akbar. Bring it mahadi of your ears down. Allahu Akbar. We don't have such a thing, right? So now it's part of the... Right? Anyhow, so what did we say? Aba and Ajdad. When and where we have to stop, it says, what is the origin? What is the actual things that we have in Islam, right? What we have to see that this is what we need to keep and we need to practice. And anyhow, so this is one aspect of it that we see that we have to be careful not to follow the same mentality of people who were at that time, right? However, don't get me wrong. The culture is important. We have to respect. The good part of it, what we do, I always say, the good part of it, we present it to what? Our society, our culture thinks. We present it to Islam, to the Maktab of Ahlul Bayt. As long as it is okay with the Maktab of Ahlul Bayt and Islam and Quran, perfect, why not? That's Rasulullah did. Rasulullah did. The months of haram is not what Islam brought it. It was before Islam, we talk about, right? Rasulullah says, that's good, let's keep it. Huh? As long as it's not against the path of Allah, Bismillah, we like it, we practice it. As soon as our culture gets away from Islam or fixed somehow, فَضْرَبُوهَا عَلَى الْجَدَارِ. In fact, we say, right? Throw it out. No, we don't want it. Doesn't matter if the whole society is practicing or not. This is against the Maktab of Ahlul Bayt and Islam. We don't want it, right? And we should be brave to do that. Anyhow, so another important point, this is all preparation of this new page of Islam. We have to understand what happened. Yasrib, the difference between Medina and Mecca. Mecca, we said the economy of Mecca, people of Mecca and Quraysh were based on what? Business trips. Caravan from here to Yemen to Damascus and all that. They had to go all the way to bring some income in, right? Versus Yathrib, they had their own things. They had, farms. They had water. Dates. Very important things that they were doing, having, dates. So the economy was inside. The income was from inside versus Mecca. Think about it. When Rasulullah is picking somewhere, and what happens here is what? Because think about it. For example, War Ahzab. Sorry, the trench or Ahzab, right? Either one. When the trench happened, they surrendered siege against Muslim around Medina. How could they survive? Because things are within Medina, right? Versus Mecca. Anyhow, another important point here. Many times the wars happen. I want to see if we can get this point here. Wars happen between Arabs, Aus and Khazraj in Medina, because it's been intrigued and inspired by the Jews of Medina. The Jews were the wealthiest. No surprise. Well, they were, hoarding a lot of, goods, the products that they had, and they were into this type of things, usually. And they have a good skills of providing and creating weapons. They knew how to make the weapons, swords, spears, and arrows. On that side, they were causing war.
What we are doing.
We were selling it, right? It's an income. It's a huge income. They were going to this tribe against that tribe against this tribe. Let's create a why? Because money comes to us, right? Yeah. Why the Arabs didn't have this? Because they were under the influence and lifestyle of Bedouin. That's why they're so irrational that 5 years at last. Well, 5 years you're fighting over what? You're killing each other because of what, right? They were under that. Even the people of Yathrib, right? To the people of city, but it's still with the same lifestyle. Versus the Jews, no, think about it that time, create this. It's a huge income comes to us. If they were, why they had issue with Islam? Because Islam cut this artery of income. By what? By bringing peace into the society. By taking people from jahiliyat and ignorance out to the light. We don't want it. No. Like keep them there so the income comes to us. That's there. Otherwise, Quran is saying, you were the one who were advising people of Peninsula Mushrikeen that wait for the prophet, the last prophet is going to come from this region. You were telling them, why all of a sudden you're against him? Because he's going to take everything away from us. Even when they were saying people about this, they were thinking about their own benefits. So that happened about the Yathrib, the society at that time, right? The wars and everything at that time. So on that side, let's see the strategy of Rasulullah. Rasulullah is getting somewhere. How clever is the leader as well. It's not just waiting for Allah to help and to support. You should do something as well. You should start, you should think. You should do mashwara and consult as well to find this. When there were Hajj trips, people of Yathrib, mushriks, were coming towards Mecca for Hajj, right? As soon as Rasulullah, he heard or he was hearing that one of the leaders of Yathrib tribes, one of these tribes, are in Mecca, you had the meeting with them. Let's have a meeting. He was sitting with them, he was talking to them, and one of them, Suwayd ibn Samit, he's one of the leaders of Yathrib. So what tribes of Yathrib? He comes to Rasulullah, he comes to Hajj, Rasulullah have a meeting with him. He goes have a meeting with him. He said, this is Islam, this is what I have. He said, I have some stories about Luqman. This mushrik is saying, Luqman, Suwayd ibn Samit. Some stories about Luqman. Rasulullah says, yes, I know Luqman, and what I have is better what you have. Quran has better than. And Rasulullah recites the ayat of, about Hazrat Luqman and everything. This guy is affected by that, influenced by that. He becomes Muslim. He goes back. Before the war, Bu'ath, he was killed in Yathrib, while he was Muslim in Yathrib. Anyhow, so Rasulullah keeps talking to the heads of the tribes of Quraysh. The first group of people, 6 people of Khazraj, they met Rasulullah while during the trip towards Mecca. They converted to Islam. 6 people first. Many historians says these are the first 6. These are the first Muslims of Yathrib, right? And very important people here. What happened then? They went back. They started talking about Islam. Now people of Yathrib heard about Islam. There's a prophet came and everything, and they started doing the tabligh of Islam. And they said to Rasulullah, we're Muslim now, and we hope we need this. We hope with this new faith, we won't have any wars and any issue in the society anymore. Okay? So everybody now in Yathrib, they heard about Rasulullah. They heard about Islam. We talk about it. What made them to be Muslim, to become Muslim, these people? What were the reasons that they become Muslim? And how Rasulullah perfectly, at the right time, how clever he is that he's taking advantage, a good advantage of the situation to support, to help people, to bring peace into the society, at the same time strengthen the foundations of Islam as well, right? In the 12th year after Bi'th or Mab'ath, 12 people from Yathrib traveled to Mecca and met the Prophet, and that was the first pact and the first treaty that they made, actually in Islam, that they made between these 12 people of Yathrib and Rasulullah. What was their promise? They wrote down, they promised that we will not, we believe in Allah, we believe in one God, we believe in the Prophet, and we would not associate anyone with Allah. Allah is one. We would not steal from each other. We would not do fornication and adultery. We would not kill our children, these things that they were doing before, right? We would not, blame each other, and we will follow the orders of Islam, whatever they had at that time. In return, Rasulullah, he promised, if you follow these things, these few things, if you follow, I promise heaven will be the reward for you. This is the beginning of Islam, right? Although it is what? It is the 12th year after Bi'ath. 12 years. We said that few years was in Sheba Abi Talib, few years here, and torturing and immigration and everything. So this is the first pact that they made, and they call it the first pact of Aqaba. Aqaba, we call it, we talk about it. It's a region in Mina, in the location of Mina. They call it Aqaba. Over there, they made that treaty. 12 people. For 6 people, they did tabligh, come back, 12 people. Okay. After that, the next trip that happened, 500 people during the Hajj traveled to what? To Mecca. Among these 500, 73 were Muslim. Out of these 73, 2 or 3 of them were women. 2 or 3 of them, I think 2 of them or 3 of them, I forgot. They're women. They come towards with 500 people. The rest, either they're not Muslims or they're on the fence. We're not sure. They heard about this, right? They're not sure what happened until there. Anyhow, they're coming where? They're coming to the regions of Quraysh. The spies, the soldiers, everything is there, right? So they come over there, and very secretly, there is a meeting between Rasulullah and these 73 people were in the Aqaba, the same location. And what? It took place in the 13th of the Hajj. This meeting, we're in Dhul Hajj now, right? 13th of the Hajj, they started, having a meeting at night while everybody's sleeping. They came, Rasulullah came with his uncle Abbas. So Abbas stood up and he said that, well, he is good here. Don't touch him, don't promise anything if you're not going to support him. If you're here to support him, you want to invite him, you need to stand up. Anyhow, they stood up one after another one. We are here to support and everything. That even the history said, Abbas said to Rasulullah, please speak quietly because the spies are here, Jasusan are here, they will hear us of the Quraysh. Please speak slowly. Still afraid of the situation. 20 years ago, I went to Umrah. I was sitting in Masjid Nabi, and someone was next to me reciting Quran. He looked at me, I look at him with a little glance. Subhanallah, he said. And then he recited Quran. He recited Quran again. I don't remember what happened. He said, or I said, are you Shia? He said, yes. He's Sunni. Yes, I'm Shia. We started talking the whole time. He was like this. I said, can you please don't talk to me? If they hear and they see me, that I'm talking to you, apparently you're a Musafir, you're a traveler from Iran, you came here, right? And I'm a Shia Sunni, I'm talking to you, I'm going to be in big trouble. I said, really? Let's say at that time, for example, it was 2000, I don't remember that. In 2000, we still have the same issue that happened in Aqaba, right? The spies are around. Some of the Arab brothers here, they can testify that, right? Three years ago, we went to Umrah. We wanted to visit one of the ulama of Shia over there. You don't know, it was like visiting, what should they say? Under a huge, like, be careful, a simple alim of Shia over there, we want to visit him. Astaghfirullah, be careful, everybody's watching you. We were so scared, what's going on? We just want to visit a simple person, He was the head of Shia over there. Okay, so what? We're not doing anything. What are you afraid of? Huh? Remember Imam Jawad, I saw the Shahada last week, what we said? They were afraid of a 7-year-old Imam. What is that fear? At the age of 25, he doesn't have any army, anything. They martyred him. The same fear, right? Many people, the enemies of Islam, are saying Islam is spread out because of the what? The sword, the violence. They're saying up until today. Islam is faster because of the violence. Excuse me, violence what? Muslims against others or others against Muslims? Mushrikeen against, look at this. They've been killed and tortured. They've been, exiled from their own city and their own house and hometown. What happened here, right? When ignorance happened, modern ignorance today. We're dealing with the modern ignorance, right? Until today. So, anyhow, so that meeting was over. They had, the meeting, and they started, and they made another pact, Aqaba Sani, the second Aqaba, the pact. They made it, they talked anything that we support you. Anyhow, next day, Quraysh realized, they heard, Jasus are there, they heard. They come talk to now this group of 500 people, right? Oh, last night we heard that you had a meeting with Muhammad, right? Anyhow, so they still have the power. I said that earlier, they're under the influence of Mecca, right? So we heard about this and that. And then the Muslims were sending the non-Muslims of the caravan forward, those who were not in the meeting. And they were like, no, we never heard of it. We were asleep last night, right? And they were right, because they were not in the meeting. So whoever, out of this 573 of them, they were in the meeting, right? The rest were not. And whoever they were sending, no, we were not in the meeting. So then they couldn't prove anything. When Muslims heard about this, they started to wrap up everything. Let's go. Started leaving, and they left Mecca before anything else, become escalated. They left the area of Mecca and the power of Quraysh. They left towards Mecca. But the history says they even got one of them they tortured anyhow. So it's not important. So this is what happened. Even a simple meeting Rasulullah he wants to have with Muslims, right? Maybe at that time, all Muslims together, let's say, for example, 73 here, 100 there, 200, 300, totally Muslims, right? The whole Muslims. But Quraysh, they heard that, okay, it's getting serious now. Now they're inviting Rasulullah to Yathrib. It's becoming the center here. They started filling them, and they added into the tortures and everything. Anyhow, so few reasons why the people of Yathrib, they converted to Islam. One, because they were next to the Jewish tribes. And here's the interesting part of the history. The Jews of Medina, according to history, they were not Arab. Did you know that? They were not the Arabs. They were from where? From the Palestine, the Israelis. Not from there. Okay? So the Aus and Khazraj, they were Arabs from Yemen. But they were not. So they were next to them, but they heard a lot of news about the Prophet is coming, Prophet is coming, Prophet is coming. When the people of Yasrib were in Mecca, they wanted to be ahead of others. They said, now we are the first Muslims. You told us, but they thought there's, the intention is different intentions, whatever the intentions, they wanted to be Muslims, right? The second reason was what? Those long wars, difficult situation, they were tired. They were looking for an situation to change their lifestyle, right? To change their lifestyles. If you have someone, they're in the difficulties, problems, situation, they have hard time in life or something. That's a good time with the pure intention that you be there to support, to help, to guide, and show the right path. When everybody's in huge ni'mah and everything is around them, they don't listen. That's why Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Abu Sufyan, they're not listening. Well, because they don't need. Why the slaves are the first Muslims? Because their hearts is not full of rustiness of the what? Of the power, of the comfort and everything in life, right? If you want the haqq to be accepted, you need to consider that part as well. Anyhow, so much Quraysh was very, upset about this, but step by step, gradually, all people, they came to Rasulullah, where should we go? The pressure is getting a lot. Rasulullah ordered this time, instead of Habasha, go to Yasrib. Strategy. Now we have a markaz, we have a center here close to us in Yathrib. It's a very strategical, place. Let's start immigrating them. Quraysh started, not letting them, but anyhow, they left. At the time, only Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam, and few of Muslims that were in Mecca. The rest were in Yasrib. That started the time that Rasulullah started thinking about, we'll talk about it next session, inshallah, about now hijrah towards Medina, that's definitely the new chapter in Islam that happens, and the strength of Muslim, which inshallah we will talk about this. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa Muhammadin wa ajil faraj. Allahumma ajil li waliyika al-faraj wal-afiyata wal-nasr wa mudda fi umrihi al-sharif. زين الأرض بطول بقائه وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته يا رحمن يا رحيم ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا الله يا رحمن بحق أهل البيت بحق القرآن hasten the ظهور of our Imam Mahdi. Let us, our generation, inshallah, be appreciative towards the shuhada of Islam, the blood of shuhada of Islam, by inshallah staying strong in the path of Islam, Quran and Ahlul Bayt. Do not let anyone from our generation be against the path of Islam, Quran and Ahlul Bayt. Those brothers and sisters who have hajat and requests, give them all khair hajat. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, those who are under difficulties, provide opportunities for their freedom. Those who are sick, Muhammad cure them. And those who passed away, send the tabab and reward from our gathering to the soul, inshallah. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So get ready for salah. After prayer we can have this. Yes, we have the ziyarat waratha inshallah after the salah.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين علي
أميرا مهينا عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله Inshallah. What about the distance? So, we're going to start. Start the law and to the Allah is Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله وأن عليا ولي الله وأن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله وأسأله التوبة أستغفر الله من جميع ما يحب الله الله أكبر الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله الله لمن حمده سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله الله أكبر الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار واحشرنا مع المرسلين والأبرار. اللهم عجل بوليك الفرج. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سبحان الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. أعوذ بالله من استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا رقيب ارحم عبدك الكريم. يا جليل ارحم عبدك الكريم. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعطايا مغفرتك ونجاة من النار ومن كل والفوز بالجنة ورضوان فيه دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه السلام. اللهم نادنا من نعمة تمت لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم كل وليك حجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا ناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تصبحه عبدا وتمتعه فيها قليلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So that the first 10 days of the Hajjah as the good of the night. Niyated Nawan the Hajjah, the first 10 days of the Hajjah. One, this ayah, one. Surah Ham, the class of Allah, this ayah. And in the second. وواعدنا موسى 30 ليلة وأسلمناه فعاش فتم ميقات ربي 40 ليلة وقال موسى لا يأتي هارون الكفر في الأرض and with Allah yeah, you can have the Quran Surah Araf ayah 142 on your phone. You can say this.
It's on duas.org also. If you open up your mobile phone, go to duas.org. First 10 days of
صلى الله عليه وسلم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
اللهم صل على محمد.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
اللهم صل على محمد.
أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا وأولاده المعصوم حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. فقامت الصلاة فقامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. أستغفر الله وأسأله التوبة. أستغفر الله من جميع ما تاب الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. بحول الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار واحشرنا مع المرسلين والأبرار. اللهم عجل بوليك سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. حولك استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. حول الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا رقيب ارحم عبدك. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد.
Yeah, directly when I said at the start. Yes, no नजर नहीं आ रहा. बिस्मिल्लाह करें उधर से. एक सेकंड, नहीं यहीं से करेंगे.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صحبة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث علي أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار اللهب ابن الثار والبدر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. ولعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الذكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على الدنيا وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم مؤمن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة حضرت علي السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. زيارة حضرت عباس عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ولرسوله. أشهد أنك قد جاهدت ونصحت وصبرت حتى أتاك اليقين. لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين وألحقهم بدرك الجحيم. زيارة سائر الشهداء كربلاء عليه السلام. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي نذكي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما. فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى صحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميع شهداء كربلاء وأسيران كربلاء. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين، السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي، السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد، السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر، السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى، السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي، السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد، السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي، السلام عليك يا وسوي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي، السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان من شر الشيطان. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه، عجل له فرجك وسهل له مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Brothers and sisters, a quick request for the Fatiha of today's sponsors. The names of the marhumin are Zahir Hasnain Zaidi, Amina Rizvi, Iqtidar Naqvi, Bilqis Fatima, Fahim Naqvi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajil farajahum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.